Today is Tuesday, May 2nd, 2017, and today we got to talk about Hillary Rodham Clinton. Oh yeah, we're still talking about Hillary. She's not gone away. She's not crawled back up under that rock that we wish she would crawl back up under. She's still talking. She's talking to the Clinton News Network, also known as CNN, about how she failed in the 2016-2017 campaign to become the president of the United States. Now, what I want to do right now is go ahead and roll the clip. I don't want to take too much of your time up before we get to the meat and potatoes of what's going on. But to tee it up for you, I'm not really sure what the question was that she was asked. It's pretty obvious what it was, but I'm not sure of the exact question. But she goes on to answer why she did not win, the disappointment behind it, et cetera, et cetera. And she gives a bunch of excuses. And once you hear those excuses and how she was able to rationalize it or whatever the case may be, we're going to come back and then I'll give you my thoughts on it. I'll expand on what she said, and I'll tell you the real reason why Hillary Rodham Clinton lost the presidency. So without further ado, go ahead and roll it.
It wasn't a perfect campaign. There is no such thing. But I was on the way to winning until the combination of Jim Comey's letter on October 28th and Russian WikiLeaks raised doubts in the minds of people who were inclined to vote for me but got scared off. And the evidence for that intervening event is, I think, compelling, persuasive, and so we overcame a lot in the campaign. We overcame an enormous barrage of negativity, of false equivalency, and so much else. But as Nate Silver, who doesn't work for me, he's an independent analyst, but one considered to be very reliable, has concluded, if the election had been on October 27th, I'd be your president. And it wasn't. It was on October 28th, and there was just a lot of funny business going on around that. And ask yourself this, within an hour or two of the Hollywood Access tape being made public, the Russian theft of John Podesta's emails hit WikiLeaks. What a coincidence.
All right, so you're able to see it. You see what's going on now. I mean, come on, this is really silly. I make all these excuses. It wasn't about no letter. You see, the James Comey letter just came about after all these things came about you from many, many years, not even during this presidential campaign, but from years ago, years and years, when you had the whole thing about bring them to heel, Clinton crime bill, which I actually was in favor of, but many people were not. And then one thing that really offended a lot of people that happened more recently, not during the campaign, this most recent campaign per se, but just a little bit before then, was you talking about the coal miners and how you're going to put them out of business. I'm originally from West Virginia. Shout out to Rand University. That's where I come from originally. I was raised over here in Virginia. That really offended me. And a lot of people I know over in that area, people maybe even in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, of course, Ohio, Kentucky, that whole general area, coal country, people were offended by that. A lot of people over there lost their jobs because of people like yourself, Hillary Clinton, that come up with these so-called green energy companies, which ain't nothing but just government subsidized pieces of garbage that don't work. A lot of these green energy jobs, I've seen some of these commercials or propaganda pieces, like I like to call them, from some mainstream media about how there's only like 75,000 coal jobs now in the USA, and there's like 600,000 green energy jobs. What they don't tell you is that coal is basically being beat down by the federal government to be able to bring in other forms of energy. And they give a lot of these green companies all kind of grants, unsecured loans, all kind of stuff that they do for green energy to make it be something that can replace coal, nuclear, natural gas, etc. But it's just not happening. So a lot of these companies end up folding, but not until they fleece the federal government, which means you, the taxpayer, of all your money to be able to fund their failing ventures. That's why there are so many jobs in green energy and not so many in coal. And the reality is, as of right now, coal is #1 source of energy in the United States. Maybe one or two followed up right by natural gas, which is produced by fracking. Now, if you're going to ask a question about what kind of energy is the cleanest between coal and fracking natural gas, which is it? But I digress. I'm getting off on a tangent. Back to Miss Hillary Clinton and why she lost. That was a big reason right there, talking about, are you going to eliminate coal jobs? And then you ran a campaign that was based upon fear, that was based upon finger pointing, that was based upon othering people. You know, you want to support Black Lives Matter. You want to support the LGBT causes. You want to do things that people were just fed up with. And people did not like Barack Obama's presidency overall. People had hope for hope and change, but no hope and change came. Obamacare was a big mess, and you were a proponent of Obamacare. Now, whether or not it can get repealed and replaced right now is a whole different story, and I'm going to digress yet again. But that doesn't matter. The way you ran your campaign, Miss Hillary Clinton, was trying to continue Obamacare and make it better. People didn't like that because there were so many horror stories about Obamacare that people had. They did not want to experience that yet again. People like Van Jones talking about white lashing and stuff like that. Oh, people voted for Donald Trump because they were resentful of the black president. It doesn't make any sense because a lot of those same people that voted for Barack Obama twice voted for Donald Trump this time. Without those people, Trump would not be here. These people voted for Obama twice, and then after, they had to just evaluate it and say, hey, how was his performance? How did he do really? Did he do a good job? Did he not do a good job? Maybe they thought he didn't do a good job, so therefore they voted for the other guy. And beyond that, Hillary Clinton did win the popular vote, so she got a lot of votes. I mean, let's not get that confused. She didn't win the popular vote, but she was not able to reach out to some of these smaller places, to some of her lesser constituents that she pretty much just cast away, you know, talking about, oh, we're going to take your jobs away from coal country and stuff like that. And then also, she insulted us as far as our intelligence is concerned, talking about, oh, well, I didn't wipe the server unless you mean with a cloth, stupid stuff. Having a private email server in your house trying to hide stuff. And then we saw what Bill Clinton did when he went on the tarmac to basically ambush Loretta Lynch for 30 minutes and talk to her privately during the whole time she was the attorney general who was leading the DOJ. And the DOJ at the time was investigating Hillary Clinton along with the FBI. Right. So when you want to talk about James Comey's letter, why don't you talk about Bill Clinton, your husband, getting on a tarmac and ambushing Loretta Lynch for 30 minutes and talking about you? They say they didn't talk about you, talked about grandkids and stuff like that. But why do you need to ambush somebody on the tarmac? Now, let's be clear. Both Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch, these are public figures. At the time, Loretta Lynch was the attorney general. And Bill Clinton, being the former president, he's going all over the world getting paid $1 million or whatever for a speech for 30 minutes with all kind of little kickbacks in it. But that's a whole different story. And I'm going to go ahead and move on. But they have very tight schedules. You can't just, you know, stop somebody for half an hour and talk. They don't have that kind of time. But Bill Clinton made her make that time to talk to him. And it was most certainly about Hillary Clinton. All that stuff we see. So do not insult us in our intelligence to think that we don't see it. That is a big part of the reason why you did not become the president. And furthermore, look at your health. We saw you collapse at the 9/11 memorial. We saw it on camera. It's not debatable. You were stuck. You were frozen. You may have Parkinson's. I don't know what's going on. We can only speculate. But you were frozen right there on the sidewalk. You cannot go 10 feet into the actual van. They had to drag you off, like pieces of your earrings or your shoe came off, all kind of stuff. Like, that is not a physically fit president. You're already about 70 years old, and we see you collapse. We're seeing you coughing. We're seeing all kind of crazy stuff. That is the reason why you did not become the president. And beyond that, what have you really done in your political career? You've been in office for how long? You've been in politics for how long? What have you actually accomplished? Maybe, just maybe, Donald Trump was a better person to select. We know Donald Trump not as being a politician, but as being somebody that's had success in business. Yes, he's had failures, but everybody has failures. I've had failures, and so have you, obviously. You ran for president twice. You ran for it once in 2008, and you failed against Barack Obama. Even with his help, you were still not able to win, and also with the whole mainstream media on your side. Even at times, you had Fox News on your side, and it still was not enough for you to win. You had some people at Fox News attacking Donald Trump. Megyn Kelly was kind of doing it a little bit, but you got guys like Shep Smith, etc. They were attacking Donald Trump. And you had MSNBC, CNN, NPR, all the online media, newspaper media, most of the television media. Everybody was against Trump, and they were in a pocket with Hillary Clinton. Many state governors, state senators, a lot of these people were in Hillary Clinton's pocket, in the Democrat Party's pocket. You had your friend, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, try to engage in some tomfoolery to get Bernie Sanders up out of the way so you'd be able to go forward as a party's nominee, because you were not even really the favorite necessarily to become a nominee for the Democrat Party. So you were engaging in a lot of corruption, a lot of, not so fair dealing, not so square dealing. You had people on your side that should not have really been partisan, but they were on your side, namely the mainstream media, some of the online mainstream media, newspapers, radio, etc. They were all in your pocket. They were all on your side. You were in office for years and years and years. The Democrat Party is trying to collude with different people that they really shouldn't be colluding with, different countries. You're getting all kind of money. You had double the money. Let's not forget that. Oh, that's one more thing. You had like $1.2 billion. Donald Trump only had maybe about 700 million. That's not quite double, but you understand what I'm saying. She had nearly double the amount of money Donald Trump had and still lost. So maybe, just maybe, it's something wrong with you. Maybe, just maybe, you were just not really built to become the actual president. Because what was the excuse in 2008? What was the excuse back then? I mean, do you offer an excuse back then as to why you couldn't gain a nomination? And you almost didn't do it this time as well, but you made sure to have Debbie Wasserman Schultz, NGPVAN, a lot of other people to make sure you were able to get that. Cheating in the caucuses. We didn't forget about that when it was like 6 coin tosses all went in your favor. Come on. Let's not play no games. You barely got out of the actual primary process and you did not win the presidency. Maybe it's you and it's not him. And it's most certainly not me. I voted for the right person, and that person I'm pretty much happy with, and I'm glad it's not you. Maybe you should just fall back from politics. Just be a grandma. You're in your 70s. You got your grandbaby now. I'm not mistaken. I think Chelsea had her baby. You're a grandma now. Just play with your grandbaby. You got plenty of money, so I don't understand what's the purpose. Maybe it's a bigger thing here that I'm not really 100% certain of. I can speculate and I could say maybe this is going on, maybe that's going on. But to try to blame the Russians, by the way, I'm not really sure that's been confirmed that the Russians hacked the election, because it was all kinds of stuff in the mainstream media. And listen to the mainstream media, they'll tell you anything and things that don't make any sense and things that contradict. On one hand, they say you cannot hack the election. On the other hand, they say the Russians did it. And on the other hand, there's no evidence to say that the Russians did it. Some say that it may have been a rogue person that lives in Russia that hacked the election or released information or whatever you want to say. But who was that really? Was it a person with the Russian government? Was it a regular citizen? Like, if I do something that's wrong, do you say the USA did it, or do you say that Anthony Brian Logan did it? So that's pretty much all I got. I want to get it off my chest, because Hillary Clinton, you have to be ashamed of yourself trying to talk about James Comey, trying to throw him under the bus. At one point, that was your ally. Now he was a sworn enemy who you want to throw under the bus, and trying to blame him, trying to talk about WikiLeaks and stuff like that. Maybe if you were not a corrupt person, maybe if you were not a corrupt politician, you would have won. Maybe if you were a better candidate that was in good health, that had a solid track record that people liked, maybe you'd be able to win the election. Maybe, just maybe, if you were a better candidate than Donald Trump was, you win the election. You even acknowledged it a little bit in the beginning, talking about, oh, it was not a perfect campaign. Well, no duh. Obviously, it was not a perfect campaign. You ran a very bad campaign. That's your fault. And like I said, you almost didn't even get beyond the primary. People think that Bernie may have even done better than you did. So you got to understand that people, even in your own party, are not really liking you. And then the whole little last bit about her being part of the resistance. What resistance are you talking about, Miss Clinton? What resistance? What you trying to just, are you trying to be a rioter? Are you trying to be out there protesting? I don't think you're really too physically fit to be able to do stuff like that. So I'm not really sure what you mean by being part of the resistance. Hopefully, like I said, just stay at the house, man. Play with your grandbaby and enjoy your twilight years. Your health is not really on point. So I don't see the purpose in adding any more stress in your life than what already exists. So that's pretty much all I got to say. What say you? Do you think that Hillary Clinton is on point with what she said about, oh, it was James Comey, it was WikiLeaks, it was the Russians. That's why I did not win. If it was not for that, I'd be your next president. I'd be president 45, etc. et al. Or do you think that I'm correct with my assertion, talking about her just disastrous campaign, her failing physical health, her track record that doesn't really exist, her talking about cold country in a negative way, her being a corrupt politician, the private email server in the house, Bill Clinton going on the tarmac talking to Loretta Lynch for 30 minutes while Loretta Lynch was the attorney general who heads up the DOJ while DOJ was investigating Hillary Clinton. All the speeches and stuff like that, the uranium one deal with Russia, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Do you think that is the reason why she did not become the president? Or have I missed anything? Did I pretty much cover all the bases? Whatever your comments are, let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.